Alijah Martin. So Florida
Uh,
Gators.
yeah, smaller guard. I mean, we all saw a lot of them during the tournament, right? Matt Bonner will be
Yeah.
happy about this.
So obviously played a bunch in the tournament. 14.4 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 45% from the field, 35% from downtown, 76% from the free throw line. Fairly low turnover, but not a lot of, I guess, like passing creation from a guard. Obviously, that existed elsewhere on the Gators roster as
Yeah.
they made their run. Alijah Martin, first blush. Blake, how you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, look, if we look at the history of Raptors in the second round, what is the one like unifying thread? It's they like guys who win and they like guys who come from winning programs. That's the type of guy that they've had a lot of success with. Whether it's Shed, I know Norm Powell wasn't like a winning program
Yeah.
guy necessarily, but they like this kind of guy. So yeah, that works. I mean, those Florida teams were really fun. He was not the A1 guy that popped for me on those teams because obviously Walter Clayton Jr. was just absolutely insane. And then he's like, I don't know, he's a little small and he's a little old, but this is the number 39 pick. This is what's there. He checks another box that the Raptors like when it comes to like the older second round or undrafted guys, which is went to a lesser school for a couple years and then jumped to a bigger program before they went out the door. I think Jamison Battle went the opposite way. No, Jameson Battle went that way too. Anyway, there are a couple
Mhm.
guys that did that. So check some boxes there. I'll be really curious to see and hear how he shot it in workouts because I think that's obviously if you're a 6'1" guard, and you're not like a pass first natural guard. That's the biggest thing is are you going to be able to shoot it? Are you going to be able to get some range to make up for the 6'1" stuff?
His build reminds me a lot of like Davion. Watching him on the floor, I thought it was
Yeah.
like he's not as rapid as Davion is. Davion is such a special athlete as far as like being quick
Yeah.
to the spot. But man, there's some osmosis here of you play next to Mr. Clayton, maybe you play next to Mr. Quickly. Maybe there's like a little something there. I'm not really sure,
It
but
is like him and Shed are an interesting comp too,
yeah,
right? Like not just for the coming from winning programs, but like he's like he I just checked the combine. He was 208. So like 6'1", 208 is like that's a running back, man. That's a
yeah,
thick dude. I if I'm remembering right, Florida had him guard the best guy on the other team a lot of the
yeah.
time, or the best perimeter guy on the other team a lot of the time. So yeah, makes sense to me as a Raptor guy, as a bench flyer. Him and Jamal Shed get all right, compete, boys. This is be a fun competition.
Well, that's the thing too, is like you can't watch these Raptors as they win 30 games. And I know everyone's saying like, but what about Shed? People are not as high on Mobo after his first year, obviously. But what about Mobo stuff with CMB? People did it after we drafted Jacoby. Is what about Grady? It's like the Raptors, you only have so many roster spots. You get two new guys every year, guaranteed. It can be more, it can be less. I mean, they got four last year, right? Um, it's guys, it's good to have the competition. And
Yeah.
it's not bad for the Raptors. Like Alijah Martin, if they like him and they think he can come in, Phoenix Plays E just said in chat, survival of the fittest. I love Grady as a prospect. He hasn't
Yeah.
panned out everywhere that I thought. If Jacoby busts Grady's ass and it's no longer Grady's spot, then that the game is the game. Like that's why it's guaranteed contracts. That's why you don't have to feel bad for these guys. Like if Jacoby makes Grady obsolete on the roster, Grady still gets paid and still gets to carve out his career. If the same thing happens with Alijah and Shed or whoever,
One of those things, like how many games the Raptors end up winning last year? 33. The problem is not
or,
going to be they have too many good players. It's not going to be the problem. It's like guys compete, and yeah, like developmentally, you it's not like the first year is the only year you can go to the G League either, right? Like DeLon was going to the G League in the second year. Stuff happens. Yeah, 33 while trying to tank. I get that. But like too many good players, I don't think is going to be the issue. And like even Shed, like you kind of said it there, like I was really impressed by him. Obviously, I like Jamal Shed a lot. I did the big feature on him at the start of the season. If you look like kind of at some of the under the hood stats, it was what you'd expect for the rookie. That all the Raptors rookies were so fun, and not a single one of them was like even league average efficiency, right? So some of these guys are going to get way better and continue to grow. Some of them are maybe not. Some of them are going to thrive off the competition. And then even if they're all good, like there was a year where Norman Powell was the 11th man for the Raptors when they were healthy. Norman Powell, who has like fought for 6th man awards, who was a borderline all-star this year, who was like the 8th man on a Raptors championship team, was the 11th man in the rotation, I think the year before the championship run. Depth is never a bad thing. Young guys competing and having to earn it is, I don't think, ever a bad thing.
Do you know anything about Alijah Martin?
Not as much as I would have liked to. He wasn't one of the guys that did a ton of work on. He was one that rose late for me. I went back and watched his tournament games. That's about all I really got of him. Main point is he's a winner. He's a winner. He was part of that FAU team that made that Final Four run a couple years ago before transferring to Florida to win a national championship. And he was impactful. Box plus minus, he was top 40 in the country, but he is small. And I think naturally why he fell was one, he's small and he's not really a point guard. I don't think he has that handling creativity to be a point guard. So I think a lot of the concerns were that at that size, you're more of an off-ball guy, but man, he's a dog. And you can see how the Raptors want to build. You know, they've been preaching physicality, toughness, and that's what Colin Murray-Boyles and Alijah Martin are going to provide. So, not a ton of work on him, but he was 66% on close twos. So that's finished decently around the rim as well. 36% career 3-point shooter as well. So, he small 6'7.5" wingspan though, so he makes up for some of that. But he's strong.
That's a crazy differential.
That is, it's a lot, but so that's where it really helps him on the defensive end of the floor. But I think he's a good enough shooter and to stick around, and he's good enough on defense. He's just small, man. He's just small, but we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, we have from Joseph Cassidy says, yo, Cody, great work this draft. Been some good stuff. Excellent point. Yes. This is Coty Wiles, by the way, for anybody listening. He works a few different places, but most importantly for this Raptors Republic, and he and Brendan did a bunch of great work covering the draft. They were doing like a whole pool of players. Trey and I were doing a whole pool of players, and obviously the goal was that we covered. But we didn't get Alijah Martin. He didn't fall under the purview of anybody.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm excited for Alijah. Obviously, like selfishly, I'm excited to cover him down with the 905. I'm assuming he's going to be getting a ton of reps there just simply because I don't think there's going to be the rotation minutes for him. Now, maybe he carves that out because that just seems like the type of guy he is. But yeah, selfishly, I'm excited to talk to him, cover him all year.
Are you going to Vegas at all in any capacity?
No, I wish. One of these days. I'm actually going back to Saskatchewan all of July. So
I was just back in Saskatchewan.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, no, it'll be nice to go home for a little bit, but yeah, one of these days I'm going to Vegas. That's like a bucket list sort of thing for me. You must be excited, hey?
Yeah, it should be fun. All the fellas are going, which is how we did it in 2023. So, and I'm honestly like, I got to go see Grady, which he wasn't good in summer league. Unfortunately, he didn't do very well. And who was Marquise Noel was the big story for the Raptors summer league team. Yeah, and of course summer league was crazy that year because Wemby was there, Britney Spears was getting arrested, and we had a trip out to the Grand Canyon. It was awesome, man. We had a blast doing it, and we played at the Tarkanian runs.
I don't want to come on here and lie, right? I'm not going to come out here and lie and say I'm an Alijah Martin expert, but yeah, I mean, I wonder. I'm really curious to wonder if the guy that we're going to pick here, if they want him to take a two-way, or I think that's kind of the next question. Obviously, Blake broke down all the cap stuff, but them being right up against the tax threshold and the first apron in general with all those unlikely incentives. They got a two-way slot open and they got a roster spot open. So it'll be interesting to see which way they want to go with that because, you know, they've hit on UDFAs. So maybe they want to, we'll see how it turns out, but yeah.
Also the thing is the UDFA, it's just there's not as much leverage for that anymore. Like a guy like Martin, maybe in years past you would have been looking at, like, without NIL stuff, just a deeper second round pool. Like a guy like Yaxel Landenberg probably would have went in the first. There's actually like a handful of guys who would have went first round that went back to school. Cedric Howard almost did, right? Like he committed, he was going to the huge school, one of the biggest, and then he said, okay, you know what, let me get into the draft. Went 11. But a lot of guys are just taking that money and being like, okay, the second round and undrafted free agent, that pool is just a lot smaller and it's not as compelling as it used to be. And I think that gives, well, one, the players have more leverage in school and out of school, but also for UDFA or navigating like the two-way player stuff is Alijah probably like has more leverage to be like, nah, like give me the guaranteed. As Blake mentioned, like Shed and Mobo have that elevated second rounder contract. I really wonder what it looks like because there is so much room to negotiate and wiggle with the second round stuff. Yeah. Dan says, for those who missed it, Sam Vecini is apparently very high on Alijah and said he had an incredible workout for Toronto on his pod just now. Cool. Sam Vecini, friend of the show. Obviously, every time I have him on here, though, everyone just bugs him about the Scotty Barnes stuff, which I'm just we're entering year 5 at this point.
Come on, yeah.
Yeah,
I would say the biggest difference between those two would just be the athleticism. Like Alijah Martin is a really good athlete, both vertically and horizontally. 38-inch max vertical leap, and you can go Google, go YouTube some of Alijah Martin's dunks. Man, like he just explodes off the floor. So I think when you're small like that, the athleticism obviously, is one key thing you can look at to helping you get on the floor. And then obviously he's more of a dog defensively, but yeah, he's not a point guard. They're different players, but yeah.
Go follow Coty on Twitter, Coty Wiles. Go keep up with his work and everything like that. Thank you, Coty, for coming on. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe before we get out of here. It helps spread it to other people. Hopefully they enjoy it. Thank you from myself and Coty, and from Blake as well. Thank you for coming on. All right, everybody, whether you got into this in the morning or at night, have a blessed day and goodbye.